Today we're going to be talking about the risks that are entailed with the LG OLED C1, whether you buy it or not, before you buy it or not. We're going to talk about it. And so let's just dive into it by talking about the elephant rhino in the room. The LG Evo series that they're talking about is basically the G1. The LG OLED G1 is going to be the most expensive OLED. It is to replace their wallpaper OLED, and it is not going to have a tabletop stand. So this is automatically only going to appeal to the wall mounting audience, which is big, I grant you, but not that big. And there are still a good amount of people with limited space and who just maybe live in apartments or places where they really can't alter the walls and they can't mount, or maybe they just don't want to mount, like in my case. So it's one of those things where since you don't want to wall mount, the Evo is basically out for people like me. So then you're probably going to look at the C1. Now, the risks with the C1 is that the company hasn't at all actually talked about the C1 being a brighter OLED at all. In fact, anytime they mention a brighter OLED, they exclusively talk about the G1. Another problem that you face is the C1 could end up just being a C10 that's slightly upgraded. I've seen quite a few people online suggest that. Some people say they have an official source confirming that. I can't say any of those things. All I can say is it seems like quite a big risk to let the C10 sales pass you by, hope that with no talks of being a brighter OLED on the C1 side of things, no talks of being a Gen 2 officially when we're referring to the C1, I think that might be a little rough for some people to swallow, especially with C10 prices being so low, B10 prices being so low. I can understand that completely. I'll say this though. You're better off waiting for the new OLED because at the very least they do have new gaming features. The chipset is entirely different. Instead of the Alpha 9 Gen 3, you have the Alpha 9 Gen 4, which comes with its own bevy of picture processing. And at the core of any television is processing, which means, in English basically, you're basically going to see an improvement of some sort. Now, hopefully they change color around and they make color better. Their color mapping and color rendering is improved upon. Of course, there is also the flip side of that. New processing chips don't always lead to an improvement. We saw that with the X1 Ultimate chipset from Sony versus the X1 Extreme chipset. Now, everyone and their mother in them will jump up and down on YouTube and say it's an improvement, but when you actually test it, there's a big downgrade. And the biggest downgrades come in the form of motion processing artifacts that weren't there before, less options even in picture menus. Especially now, one of the big things that worry me as we talk about LG OLED, they've reworked WebOS. And with this new redesign of WebOS, I imagine they've removed and changed some menu options around. And that means that now it could be an entirely different experience. Some people might not even like LG after this. And that's something that you also have to weigh up. I can tell you if the remote is any indication as to what they're going to do with the actual TV. I'm not all that impressed with the C10 or the C1 because I think it's cheap. I see matte plastic. They got away from gloss plastic, which means that they're trying to make things more cost effective. And anytime they try to do that, the TVs usually see other downgrades. Now, I can't confirm this. I don't know what they are, but it is a risk that does need to be assessed at this time. Now, also, one of the things you might want to think about when looking at these TVs are the fact that you also could, again, be screwing yourself by buying the C10 because it's so low, the B10 because it's so low in the price point, because the C10, or rather the C1, can just come out and be an absolute juggernaut of a television. It could literally dominate and basically everything that LG suffered with, fixing the black crush, fixing the vertical banding on 5% near gray or near black. I mean, really, honestly, guys, you could really end up doing more harm than good. My official recommendation is to wait. I say that because the C10 has terrible color volume, colors wash out, has a black crush problem, and honestly, at the very least, what's the worst that happens? They give you a slightly upgraded C10. An upgrade at this point is needed. You have no DTS encoders on the C10, and also you won't be having that brand new gaming menu that they're going to have, right down to having this genre-based gaming enhancement. If it's anything tied to the AI feature that like I've seen on my end on the Alpha 9 Gen 3, that's going to be pretty intense if they get it right. I mean, really, it's exciting stuff. And I think not having that is more of a deal breaker for gamers than having it, right? Now, of course, when they come out, prices are going to be expensive. But honestly, these things are going to launch late March. You know what I mean? In my imagination here, late March, early-ish April, that's when these TVs usually launch. So, I mean, we already know it's going to happen in spring. And you're not too far off from sale days once you get there. I mean, don't forget, you still got Mother's Day sales, you still got Father's Day sales, and if things just aren't selling because they're too expensive, there's the general retailer sale because they want to get units out the door. So don't always freak out and think you have to buy just because prices are, bottom of the barrel low, because guess what? Those same TVs that you're running out and buying right now, like the LG B10, the C10, because they're low right now in price, they're going to get even lower come Father's Day. Guarantee you that. So my advice to you guys is to wait and hold on. But right now, understand the risks of this new C1 series, or the 1 series as LG dubs it, because there are plenty of them. But I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching the #1 brand in honesty. Until the next video, I'll see you guys later.